Mary Decker began running as a schoolgirl in California at the age of 11. Her world-class potential was obvious from the very beginning. When she was only 12, she set a world best for 800 yards, and in the same year, astonishingly, ran a marathon in 3 hours and 9 minutes. She became America's youngest ever international when she ran for her country at the age of 14. Ingrid Christiansen, another of the familiar names in the field, world record holder for 5,000 metres, and due to run a big marathon shortly in her homeland of Norway, and looking for tonight as an opportunity to sharpen up her pace. The British rivalry with Wendy Sly, currently top of the pile as far as this distance is concerned, is an added angle to tonight's race. Wendy, of course, sadly injured and unable to run, and how she would have loved to be out there. She's alongside us in the commentary box instead. The number 3 here, Christina Boxer, will be looking for a good performance, and also must be considering the possibility of finishing ahead of Zola Budd herself. A little outburst in the crowd, and I know that some leaflets were handed out by an anti-apartheid group to spectators arriving here. A larger than usual police presence at Crystal Palace tonight, and let's hope that we see nothing of the demonstrations that forced Zola to prematurely pull out of the National Cross Country Championships up in Birkenhead. Mary Decker's style of running is to run the legs off her rivals from the front, and that of course requires real courage. But Zola Budd too is a committed front runner, and suggestions that that's the only way she can run because she does not really have a sprint finish would suggest that tonight the confrontation between these two could produce a very, very fast time. The world record, 8 minutes 22.62. Kazankina of the Soviet Union set it in 1984. So we move along the lineup of 17 girls, and 100 million people across the globe are tuning in at this moment, and Mary Decker has taken her accustomed position right at the front of the field. Zola Budd's camp have advised her to run the race that she feels is right. There she is, number 4, wide of the picture, and she's immediately attached herself to Decker. And if this happens, with Christensen in 3rd place, if Decker and Budd can stay within a few strides of each other, then we are going to see a great confrontation, and we are going to see a very quick race. Decker leads then. Budd is 2nd. Christensen is 3rd. Berkey is 4th. But Wendy Sly has rushed up from trackside to join me here in the commentary box. Wendy, I know you've run against both Mary and Zola already this year. Mary, you feel, is in unbeatable form.
I don't think I've ever seen Mary as fit as she is now. I think she's in comparable form to that before Helsinki when she won the 1,500, 3,000 metres, and she's gone off quite fast.
Well, her time of 66.52 for the first lap is inside the regular 67-second schedule that is needed even for a world record.
And it was inevitable that if these two great runners could produce their form tonight, that that world record, despite the conditions, it's a very windy and a very cool evening, that world record had to be in danger. Decker leads, Budd is 2nd, Christensen 3rd, and Cornelia Berkey in 4th place, with Mary Knisely of the United States of America, who improved some 8 seconds in her run in Nice earlier in the week, is in 4th place, with Darlene Beckford wearing number 1 in the white vest and black shorts, just out of the picture at the moment in 6th. Beckford, the girl who defeated Zola Budd in Belfast. Tremendous noise then in the Crystal Palace Stadium as they see the sight they wanted to see, Decker and Budd side by side at the front of the field.
And the time 2:15.67 at 800, so a rather slower second lap of 69 seconds as the rest of the field, especially Zola Budd, caught up to Mary Decker.
For Wendy Slide, we know that Zola was in disappointing form in Helsinki recently, but I understand in secret training sessions this week she's produced some of the best form of her career. Do you think she has the ability to reproduce that form on the track tonight?
Well, I think she's running the way that she has to hang on to Mary for as long as she can. It'll be interesting to see what kind of finish she has at the end of this race. Mary's already run 1:57 this year, which is much faster than Zola's run for 800 this season, so she'll have to push the pace in the middle of the race, I think, to stand a chance against Mary at the finish. And Ingrid Christensen, she's running quite well too to be up there. She's run 8:39, so she could be good competition for both of them.
Just a little over 4.5 laps remaining in this 3,000 metres for women. Mary Decker the leader, Bud is second, Christensen third, Berkey all in red is fourth, Christina Boxer has moved through to fifth, Nicely is in sixth place, and that group of half a dozen have opened up a gap of some 10 metres on the rest of the field.
Well, it is cold, of course, and the pace has slowed, 70.5 that last lap. They're running perhaps between 8:35 and 8:40 pace at the moment.
But of course, the clock is really of secondary importance if Zola Budd can stay close to Mary Decker. Decker has said that she's in the mood and the form for a personal best. She suggested she could run around 8 minutes 25 tonight. But Zola Budd has always said that competitive races of this nature bring the best out of her. Decker first, Budd second, Christensen third.
The pace has slowed down quite a bit. I think the wind must be affecting them out there. It's quite cold too, and obviously this is going to affect all the athletes.
When they come round in their home straight again, there'll be 3 laps remaining. And one has to say, Mary, that if it's a sprint finish, Mary Decker surely has the finish to beat anyone.
Oh yes, definitely. I think she's got the fastest 800-metre time out of all these girls, and a few years ago she actually ran 54 seconds for 400 metres, which is quite outstanding for someone who's running a 3,000.
But Budd's performance in Helsinki was disappointing enough for some people to suggest that she wouldn't even be in this kind of contact at this stage of the race. But she is, as Decker seems to lengthen her pace and try and pull away from Budd and the rest. But Budd has stayed with her, and so has Christensen in the red shorts in third place. It's Decker, Budd, Christensen, Berkey. Those are the first 4, and a gap now between them and Boxer in fifth.
And the time at 2,000 metres, 5 minutes 45.7, steady 72nd lap is at present.
And it seemed Wendy then as though Mary Decker tried to inject pace to burn off the group.
Yes, she seems very untroubled by everyone around her, which I think shows how confident she is.
But perhaps this is the significant moment of the race, because Decker certainly has lengthened her stride now, and Budd initially anyway has been unable to match it with 2 laps to go, and it's Christensen, the marathon runner, who's moved through into second place. And Decker inexorably lengthens that gap. Decker leads, Christensen second, Budd third, and Berkey fourth.
Yes, the gap is now up to 10 metres, and that little injection of pace by Decker seems to be unmatched by any of the other runners. Budd now fourth.
Well, Zola admitted publicly that this was a race she didn't feel she could win, and it's beginning to look now as though her doubts and fears were well-founded. Mary Decker comes off the bend for the penultimate time with a commanding lead, and one that Zola Budd will be unable to pull back. Berkey it is who's moved through and offers the stiffest challenge as the bell approaches to Mary Decker. Decker leads, Berkey second, Christensen third, and a tiring Zola Budd in fourth at the bell.
The times for Mary Decker, 7:28.7, and for Zola Budd, 7:34, so 6.5 seconds behind.
And Zola Budd running barefooted as ever, and some have suggested that because she runs barefooted, that's one of the reasons why she's unable to change pace and unable to sprint away, is seeing Mary Decker disappearing, and now the gap is unbridgeable. 200 metres to go for Mary Decker, and she knows that Budd is beaten, and she knows surely that the race is hers.
Mary's just in superb shape. She looks really good coming around the bend, and Zo's got quite a gap between the other runners.
It has been a world-class performance by Mary Decker, and as she comes into the home straight, she's 30 or 40 metres up on the nearest girl, Berkey, and Zola Budd only now is beginning to enter the home straight. Mary Decker, a few strides from the line and victory, and Decker wins the race, and she will feel wins the argument. Berkey second, Christensen third, and Zola Budd comes in fourth. And Mary Decker will say tonight, surely, there you are, I told you. The collision in the Olympic final was a pure accident. I'm sure everyone accepts that now. Mary Decker felt, you have to remember, as I was saying before the race, that in 1976 she missed the Montreal Olympics because of injury. In 1980 she missed the Moscow Olympics because of the American boycott. In 1984 she was the form horse expected to win the gold medal. So that accident and her inevitable loss from the race was a tremendous disappointment. Zola Budd runs away, and for once the subject of all the cameras and all the attention and the flashbulbs is not Zola Budd but Mary Decker.
I think both these girls will be very happy that this race is over with, and perhaps some of the controversy that's gone on since the Olympic final last year will end, and everyone can look forward to the future, the World Championships and the next Olympic Games.
Decker's time, incidentally, 8:32.91, is her second best ever, and the sporting Crystal Palace crowd, who have taken Zola Budd to their hearts, applaud the double world champion, Mary Decker, who, as Wendy Sly has said, will surely be very relieved that that race is over. And let's just hope that the disappointment of being beaten will not have too profound effect on Zola Budd's thinking about her athletics future. She's had to put up with so many disappointments.
And I got Zola Budd's time, 12.5 seconds behind Decker, unofficially 8 minutes 45.4. Cornelia Berkey in second place at a Swiss record, 8:38.5. But Mary Decker, far away the fastest in the world this year, 8:32.9.
The irony is, of course, that it was this girl's pictures that Zola Budd, as a school girl in Bloemfontein in South Africa, used to have all over her bedroom wall. Mary Decker was Zola Budd's childhood sporting idol, and Zola was as concerned and upset as anyone about what happened in the Olympic final. She'll be upset tonight, of course, because no athlete likes losing, least of all a great competitor like Zola Budd. But I think Wendy's epitaph to the race is the best of all. They'll both be relieved it's over. Jim Rosenthal at trackside.